Hello everyone, I'm Margaret Williams.
And I'm Brett Bell.
For 7 years, we've had the honor of bringing you the latest news about your Savannah city government. Thank you for joining us. It's been a true pleasure.
Today, we start a new chapter on CitySpan. Starting now, we're taking the show on the road.
While you may know me as the face of CitySpan, my other job is as the city's customer service administrator. In this role, I work every day with your city's 2,500 employees to find new ways to better serve our citizens.
We've got some really talented city employees who work hard with little thanks. These workers are mostly behind the scenes. Beginning today, we're putting them front and center.
Every month, a new pair of city employees will host CitySpan's anchor desk.
You'll see policemen, firefighters, those who collect your garbage, and those who treat your water.
First up are a pair of employees who work in the Assistant City Manager's Bureau. Nick Deffley is our Director of Environmental Services and Sustainability. His job is to ensure environmental compliance and to look for new ways to make a more sustainable Savannah.
Joining him will be Daphanie Williams, who helps create policy and programs as the city's Management Services Coordinator.
So, without further ado, I bring you Nick and Daphne, the anchors for this month's CitySpan.
Coming up on CitySpan, bringing closure to a difficult situation, the grand jury reaches a decision. Taking stock of our tree canopy, there's cause for concern.
Preserving the past and planning for the future. And the luck of the Irish, Savannah's 4-day Festival of Green.
Stay tuned. CitySpan starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Daphne Williams.
And I'm Nick Deffley. Welcome to CitySpan, your source for news and information about Savannah city government.
Up first on CitySpan. Savannah residents finally heard from the grand jury last month in the Charles Smith shooting. 29-year-old Smith was killed by a Savannah Chatham Metro police officer last September during an arrest. After pouring over 2,500 pages of evidence and the testimony of more than 40 witnesses, jurors decided not to indict Officer David Janot, but an internal police investigation into the incident continues. CitySpan's Jody Jenkins has the story.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. We have a decision that was...
It was months in the making. And when the grand jury finally returned its decision on whether or not to indict a Savannah Chatham Metro police officer in the September shooting of Charles Smith, the atmosphere was filled with expectation.
The grand jury issued a general presentment today and found that Officer Janot with the Savannah Chatham Metropolitan Police Department used justifiable force in the defense of himself and others in the shooting of Charles Smith.
It was a case that involved 2,500 pages of investigation and the testimony of 45 witnesses. And immediately the questions came. If Smith had a gun, why wasn't it found in the pat-down? Would there be any disciplinary action? Further investigations? Heap and the GBI's Assistant Special Agent Cyrus Perdaman answered the flurry of questions. But there was a sense that the page had been turned on what has been a difficult chapter. Smith, a 29-year-old black man, was arrested for outstanding warrants last September at a convenience store on Augusta Avenue. While being transported, Smith, whose hands were cuffed behind him, managed to get his hands in front of him, kick out a window of the police cruiser, and tried to flee. David Janot, the white officer driving the car, shot Smith 5 times during a confrontation, killing him. A gun was found near Smith's hand. The incident came amid violent protests in Ferguson, Missouri, after the shooting of an unarmed black 18-year-old named Michael Brown by a white police officer, who was later acquitted. Following the grand jury decision, the mayor and other city leaders called on residents to remain calm.
When we first started this, we talked about transparency and what we would do in this community, because that is what we are known for here in the city. We want our residents to please remain calm.
Savannah Chatham Metro Police Chief Jack Lumpkin said the police department was conducting its own internal affairs investigation. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Jody Jenkins.
Savannah Tree Foundation released results of its tree canopy study last month, and the news wasn't good. Chatham County, including its municipalities, have lost 15% of their total tree canopy since the last study 20 years ago. Heavy development and new roads make up for most of the losses, but summit participants hope that increasing awareness will lead to solutions to the problem and reverse the trend.
In this tree-centric community of ours, with an urban forest like few others in the country, the Chatham County Tree Canopy Summit was a moment to take stock. The good news was that there was a tree canopy summit. To focus energy on the somewhat sobering news that the county's tree canopy has been shrinking at a rapid pace, down to roughly 36% of the total area, from 50% 22 years ago. And 3/4 of it is from development and roads, according to Ian Hanu of Planet Geo, a Denver-based company that conducted the study.
It is definitely above the norm that we see for different studies that we do around the country. Hopefully this study, I guess, takes people to that next step of saying, well, what have we been able to achieve over the last 100 years, and why did we step away from that, and how do we get back to that?
The summit comes as the Savannah City Council is revamping its current tree ordinance. And while the timing was purely coincidental, Karen Jenkins, executive director of the Savannah Tree Foundation, said that it provides food for thought about policies impacting trees as we head into what appears to be a period of strong growth.
I think the timing is right. We have a lot of social issues that can be addressed through trees and urban greening. Trees are in the middle. They're just one part of the conversation, but there are these huge conversations that pertain to quality of life and quality of health, and trees help address those issues.
And then there's the economic argument. While money doesn't grow on trees, at least one summit participant suggested the next best thing: monetizing trees through carbon trading. Each tree is an air filter for the atmosphere, and each air filter has a value that can be traded like stocks. The more trees you plant, the greater wealth you amass. The goal is to offset pollution. It would spur planting and create an entirely new industry of the future in an area known for its past.
If you appropriately register your carbon stocks, they have an ordinance specifically for urban forestry, which includes both municipalities and electric companies. As of now, if you were to take this wonderful study that was conducted, which I think is phenomenal, this canopy, Chatham County Canopy Tree Study and Analysis, if you couple that with a certification or verification process, the bottom line is that for each tree you plant, it becomes literally money in the bank.
According to George, it's a sustainability scenario with a significant profit margin, and an item sure to be on the menu as the discussion about the Chatham County tree canopy continues. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Jody Jenkins.
History can be as much about the future as it is the past. That was the takeaway from a ceremony in March to highlight a partnership between the city and the Historic Savannah Foundation to preserve one of the structures on Meldrum Row in West Savannah. 36 buildings were torn down to make way for the Savannah-Chatham Metro Police Department's new central precinct on the west side. But the new partnership preserved a 2-story structure from those slated for demolition and will convert it into a business incubator as part of the Martin Luther King Boulevard revitalization project.
Historic preservation is often about compromise, balancing the need to preserve our collective memory with the needs of a city trying to take on serious economic and social issues. And so, there was something of a bittersweet moment when the city and the Historic Savannah Foundation announced that one of the structures slated for demolition on the eastern end of Meldrum Row would be saved and converted into a business incubator, a symbol of the brighter future the city envisions for the blighted neighborhood.
We are still working out details, but our goal is to renovate this structure into a much-needed business incubator space, which is a critical component of our economic development strategies on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. We know that the best way to create development is to develop.
And while this is clearly a case of development running head-on into historic preservation, it comes with a silver lining. Meldrum Row is made up of 80 cottages on the west side of Savannah, straddling Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The city purchased 36 cottages for $1.1 million, but proceeds from the purchase will go towards renovating the remaining cottages.
The city is a proponent of preservation. We know that. But they also have competing interests of crime, public services, and they've got to maintain the order of the city. That's probably the primary goal. So that doesn't diminish the importance of preservation, but it does mean when we get into situations like this where we have an opportunity to have a stronger police presence in an area that is suffering from a lot of crime, that we should do that maybe that is paramount.
The Savannah Chatham Metro Police are hoping to move into their new facility within the next year.
Good afternoon.
Police Chief Jack Lumpkin said the site selection was strategic. It will help foster relationships with citizens to help reduce the high crime. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Salam Anaya.
Coming up on CitySpan, improving public safety in Southwest Savannah.
And later, Richard Reeve has tips for paying back those student loans.
My campaign for healthy kids and families is making it easier for families to get the help they need with health insurance. Your child qualifies for dental care, vaccination, doctor's visits, and prescription drugs. Call 311 for information or visit healthykidsavannah.org. Our kids' health, what matters most.
Abandoned, forgotten, unable to move on their own, an eyesore, a nuisance, a threat to public safety, and against city ordinance. Derelict vehicles left on public property will be towed after 10 days and on private property after 30 days. Abandoned vehicles left on public property, including streets, will be towed after 5 days and on private property after 30 days. To report blight of any kind, call 311 or visit the city's website. Help move all of Savannah from blight to bright.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Welcome back to CitySpan. I'm Nick Deffley. March Madness has come and gone. No, we're not talking basketball, but Savannah's annual celebration of the green, St. Patrick's Day. From the greening of the fountains to one of the largest parades in the country, it takes more than the luck of the Irish to pull off Savannah's biggest party. And while a push to curb underage drinking may have dampened the spirits of some, the festive Irish spirit reigned supreme.
March Madness wasn't quite so crazy this year. While the sights and sounds were the same and there was the same excitement and carnival atmosphere, something was distinctly different. Perhaps because spring break ended for many students and they were already headed back to school. Or because it was a Tuesday. But the atmosphere at the 2015 version of St. Patrick's Day was much more of a hometown family affair. The squares and sidewalks and streets weren't nearly as crowded with revelers, which seemed to leave a bit more room for everyone to breathe.
Great parade, the weather was perfect, and it was just a beautiful day to be celebrating Savannah.
The crowd was so lively. Like it was awesome just being in this atmosphere.
It was really cool. The music was great. The floats were nice. It was awesome.
Budweiser horses were awesome.
Yeah.
And that easygoing mood seemed to prevail everywhere, with people having a good time but content to keep it that way. which was pretty much typical throughout the 4-day festival, according to Lieutenant David Gay of the Savannah-Chatham Metro Police Department. There were 48 arrests, but that number was down from 64 a year ago. Gay said many of the arrests came on the last night of the festival.
It was a good festival. I know the first couple of arrests were two gentlemen who decided to take a dip in the Savannah River, something that we strongly discourage, obvious for safety reasons. But other than that, it was nothing terribly unusual in terms of St. Patrick's Day activity or arrests.
Authorities were particularly on the lookout for underage drinking. But even there was little to report because they had put the word out days in advance and beefed up their presence in the squares to curb teen alcohol consumption.
I think anecdotally, the weekday parade helped. I think also sending a very strong public message prior to the parade and the city and the police department. It's all about prevention, if at all possible. So let's go ahead and get the word out there, give families an opportunity to prevent the situation from developing. And then we did beef up police presence in the square. So I think it was a combination of all those factors that played into it. The key now is to sustain that effort and to make sure that that situation doesn't come back.
There was only one arrest for underage consumption during the festival. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Jody Jenkins.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
City of Savannah officials gathered last month to celebrate the opening of Savannah Fire and Emergency Services' newest station. It's an 11,000 square foot facility in the southwestern portion of the city, providing fire protection to the Bradley Point South neighborhood and surrounding areas. Work on the station, a prototype for all future stations, took just over a year. Savannah Fire Chief Charles Middleton said the new facility not only helps residents in the area, but it also provides better conditions for firefighters.
This facility is critical for the citizens, it's critical for us, and it's really a byproduct of a city that's really on the move.
The new station includes a decontamination room and 3 apparatus bays. It was designed according to FEMA standards and has improved common and sleeping areas for firefighters. Mayor Edna Jackson said it's important to make sure firefighters are housed comfortably.
That we want to do and build buildings like this so that the time that they spend at the facility, it will have the comforts of home. And it is so important because while we are in our homes sleeping and doing all those things, they're out here protecting us.
The new facility cost $2.2 million and was funded by the special purpose local option sales tax. A new ladder truck was added for $1.3 million and 12 new firefighters were hired for the service area. According to District 5 Alderman Estella Shabazz, it's all about priorities.
Our number one priority in our city is public safety. And our fire department is a part of that number one priority in keeping our residents safe.
The new station is located at 1205 Bradley Boulevard. It replaces the former Station 12, which was a temporary facility located about a mile away off of Ogeechee Road.
Each month on CitySpan, we team up with the folks at Bank on Savannah, an initiative of Step Up Savannah, to provide you with easy tips to help you make the most of your money. With more, here's Richard Reeve from Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Savannah.
For most college students, student loans are a fact of life. So it's no wonder that federal student loan debt is more than $1 trillion in the U.S. 71% of all students graduating from four-year colleges have student loan debt. While student loans allow many of us to get a college education with the hope of getting a good-paying job, they also can cause a lifetime of debt burden. Today, we'll discuss student loan repayment options. With a standard repayment plan, you repay your entire loan balance over 10 years at a fixed monthly payment. The graduated repayment plan also consists of fixed monthly payments. The payments increase on average every 2 years. The extended repayment plan allows borrowers of over $30,000 to repay over 25 years with a fixed or graduated rate. Income-based repayment plans, income contingent repayment plans, pay-as-you-earn, and income-sensitive repayment plans cap your monthly payment based on your income. They look at your household income and your family size to determine eligibility. If you experience a financial hardship, you may be able to defer your loans. Deferment refers to a period during which repayment of the principal and interest of your loan is delayed. If you do not qualify for deferment, you may be eligible for forbearance. During the forbearance period, you may not have to make payments for up to 12 months, but the interest will continue to accrue. Remember, student loan debts are not dischargeable in a bankruptcy and must be repaid. To learn more about student loans, visit studentaid.ed.gov. Until next time, I'm Richard Reeve, and you can bank on this.
Still to come on CitySpan, a new energy savings program covers Chatham County like sunshine.
And later, how do you turn 100 pounds of this into this? We'll show you.
Are you a low-income homeowner in the city of Savannah? If so, you may be eligible for the city's free volunteer summer home repair program. Work may include ramp and fence repairs and exterior painting. Only single-story homes are eligible. Applications are being accepted through April 15th. For more information, call the City of Savannah at 651-6517.
Overgrown yards aren't just unsightly, they're also environmental and public nuisances. They make neighborhoods less attractive and can pose a threat to health and public safety. Overgrown yards and lots are also against city ordinance. To report overgrown yards or lots, or to help keep the city free of blight of any kind, call the city's 311 non-emergency customer service line. With your help, we can move all of Savannah from blight to bright.
Please have a seat. I'll be honest. Your resume is not what I'm used to.
I know.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need a hard worker.
Good. I've got 2 part-time jobs and to help my parents pay the bills.
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find, cultivate, and train a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back to CitySpan. I'm Daphne Williams. Tybee Island's groundbreaking idea is spreading. When Tybee leaders started looking into a citywide program to install solar units and to save money by collective buying, it caught the eye of the rest of Chatham County. And now this pioneering program could become the largest solarization program in the Southeast.
Solar and Tybee may be synonymous, but when the island recently announced its new solar panel installation program, Solarize Tybee, many local folks wonder, why stop there? So they didn't. Because the sun shines bright on all of Chatham County and Savannah, others decided to get on the act as well. With the growing interest in renewable energies, the program was thrown open to all area residents. And judging from the turnout and an information session at the Civic Center in February, it was a good hunch. And Public Service Commissioner Tim Eccles said the timing was right.
Certainly the panels have gotten cheaper over even the last couple of years, so it's the price of the panels that's made it really affordable for people. And I think this plan with the Solarize Tybee and Solarize Chatham, it does kind of combine everyone's buying power to give them the lowest possible price.
Commissioner Eccles has been a big proponent of alternative energies, and he was on hand to encourage residents to look into the Solarize program. But he stressed solar wasn't for everyone because of considerations such as roof condition, tree coverage, and southern exposure. But he said if your house is a good fit, add savings from group buying power, the tax incentives for alternative energies, and the buybacks of excess energy the panels pump into the grid, and it all adds up to some pretty substantial savings. But more than that, according to Anthony Coker of Hannah Solar, the contractor for the project, it's a chance to make solar history.
Nobody else has done this in the Southeast, and certainly not to this scale. A little program in North Carolina launched, but nothing like Chatham County. I mean, we're looking at almost 300,000 people that can sign up now at their household for this program. That's unprecedented in the Southeast.
To learn more or to sign up online, go to www.solarizetybee.org before April 15th. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Salam Anaya.
And finally on CitySpan, it's supersized pottery. Jeff Blandford was in town recently to talk about his experiences as a potter, as well as how he creates his large-scale bowls from hundreds of pounds of clay. CitySpan's Jody Jenkins has more.
Try turning 100 pounds of this into this. It takes a lot of elbow grease and some serious body language and almost yoga-like poses to achieve the task, which makes pottery as much a physical discipline as an aesthetic.
And then using my body, now I'm leaning back, so the weight of my body is helping open it. And I'm barely pressing, I'm just...
Jeff Blandford has learned to master the monumental. He takes hundreds of pounds of clay at a time and turns them into things of beauty. And the Saugatuck, Michigan native was at the Cultural Arts Center in late February to show a devoted crowd who came out early on a Saturday morning just how he melds the physical and artistic on the wheel.
Frankly, with ceramics, large scale is kind of the holy grail. It's difficult to do, so it is something people always want to know more about and how to achieve a larger piece than they've done before. It's a meditative process while understanding the physics, and it's kind of these poses. So I always say that people that meditate or do yoga excel at this, and it's almost like a form of yoga. I have these positions, and I get my body over it in a understanding and fighting the physics, but in a way that is very gentle and uses as little force as possible to get the clay to move in the way I want it to.
It's the discipline of learning to use the soft touch on a large scale, and the results can be impressive. It's a labor of love for Blandford that began almost as a physical challenge, and then evolved over time into something of a puzzle of how far he could take a piece of work before it reached its own outer structural limits.
One of my challenges and interests is the material, is pushing the material in a way. It's mud. At the end of the day, it's just mud. So the fact that, it can hold a bowl shape at 400 pounds to me is almost bizarre. So I'm wondering where that limit is, and frankly, I've discovered that I don't think there is. The equipment is the limit.
For a glimpse of Blandford's work of all shapes and sizes, go to volmod.com. Reporting for CitySpan, I'm Jody Jenkins.
Wow, that was really amazing work. He is incredible.
Yeah, he's really talented. I love the colors.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CitySpan.
Don't forget, for the latest news and information about the City of Savannah, keep it tuned to SGTV. Visit our website, savannahga.gov, or follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Until next time, thanks for watching, and thanks for making Savannah your home.